One thing that should be noted very, very carefully is that Triple H cares for this business a hell of a lot. Last night on the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, live on the WWE Network, which you can watch for $9.99. Yes, I am going to plug that just because um, I really enjoyed the podcast. Now, near the end, just like when Vince McMahon had a podcast, they told him to shut it down, that it was time to go, and Vince asks for more time, and blah, blah, blah. I can keep going. And they did the same thing last night. And Kevin Dunn was in Stone Cold's ear. And it did. I do just want to say this up front because I absolutely loved the chat with him. I think that he brought a lot of answers that nobody thought he actually would. He was very straightforward on some of the stuff. And I applaud Triple H for that. Now, the things that I'm talking about and the things that I want to bring up are in regards to, some of his answers. Obviously, he was dancing around some of the questions on some of the people, but obviously, for various and obvious reasons. During one of the segments about the WWE Styles type thing, and you can be a big superstar across the world and whatnot, but it doesn't work in WWE. And the first time I heard that, I was like, God, wait just to shove this shit, in the indie guy's face, like they don't know what they're doing. They're wrestling over in New Japan, and they're doing all this shit, and they're having massive crowds and everything. How do they not know what they're doing? And then, he brought up Finn Balor. And, in New Japan, they, wouldn't even know where the cameras were. And they just told them to go out there and do the job. And there was really no direction. And the more and more I thought about it, I love watching those type of matches. I love watching PWG. I like, doing some of that stuff. But the ring psychology just isn't necessarily there. And I know right now in WWE, there's not, hasn't really been the best either. But the more and more he kept talking about, the styles and what works, what doesn't work, it was kind of like a big F you to Cassius Ohno is what I thought he was kind of implying to. And then they brought up CM Punk, and I'm hearing this, and the more and more you think about it, it's true. I mean, out of all those global superstars, guys like the Young Bucks, the guys that are not even in WWE right now, or finally are, the Kevin Steens, the El Genericos, superstars like that. I mean, they can be big around the world. But, Kevin Steen was one of the first guys when they came down to NXT. He actually brought, quite a good fan base down with him, and he's been selling merchandise. And I think it is very relevant to me, or, apparent to me, that what Triple H said last night was absolutely right. Like, these indie guys, they're awesome wrestlers. I love them to death. There's a lot of guys I think that are absolutely 100% main eventers. But, and I don't want to necessarily say, it's bad habits, because, Triple H brought up the bad habits thing at the Performance Center. Like, we're often teaching these guys new things. Like, we're getting rid of some of their bad habits. I'm like, well, what are the bad habits? And, because the more toned down WWE style, they know their product. It's very evident to me, though, and I hate to say that because it's just the way the business works, is he's right. Out of all the people that, know who Kevin Steen is, there is 10 who don't know who he is in the WWE product. If, let's say, any of those guys get signed, they have 40 to 50, 1,000 followers on Twitter, compared to who watches Raw, I mean, there's a lot less. And, I think he was very clear in his statement, and this is one of the things that I really wanted to touch on, was sometimes it's easier to bring in brand new guys and teach them how to do stuff than it is to try to tell guys that have been doing this, 10 plus years, that they know what they're doing and they don't need, to be taught how to do things. Well, I love what a lot of those guys do, but a lot of what those guys do, to be honest with you, as much as I hate to say it, just wouldn't work in WWE. And he made it ever more clear when it came up to the Chyna thing, where Stone Cold asked about Chyna, and, Triple H came straight out and said a very clear answer. She changed the game for female wrestlers, for female divas, for female athletes, being the first Intercontinental Champion, and she basically raised the stakes for everybody. And, not judging your choices or anything, but based on what she did after, if, trying to induct her into the Hall of Fame, and then my 8-year-old goes and Googles who is Chyna, and then sees that Triple X stuff, I get where Triple H is coming from. And I know, we criticize WWE a lot these days, like, it's PG this, PG that bullshit. But then we are so sensitive as, a nation on everything, having to apologize for everything after social media, anything, or, we have to do so much stuff that I think there would be mass outrage if China was inducted. I mean, just imagine, like, and that's stuff I never even thought of. I mean, China, yeah, should she go in the Hall of Fame? And he's like, it's not a matter of if and when. He's like, yeah, we do have sponsors, but just imagine that. Like, if you're a parent, your daughter or your son looks up China, like, oh, let's try to find the matches because legitimately, she was an Intercontinental Champion, big part of DX. Let's look her up, and they find something else, and I think the U.S. and a lot of parents are just they take this stuff way too seriously, and as far as sensitive content goes, I don't want to debate that, but I think those risks and challenges are there. The same reason why some other guys don't go into the Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily a matter of they don't deserve it. I mean, they had a hell of a legendary career, but there's just circumstances around what happened, and it would not be good for them to go in. And he brought up a very good point with the WWE Hall of Fame. Is the WWE Hall of Fame is not like other Hall of Fames. If they put somebody in, they're putting somebody in. WWE, they say, well, hey, we're putting you in the Hall of Fame. They call them up. And then, no, they decide they're not going to the Hall of Fame. They say no, like Bruno. It took Triple H to, talk to him and for Bruno to warm up to him. And then he finally went into the Hall of Fame. Same thing with Warrior. And, the more and more I thought about it, it is a very unique situation. And the whole podcast, I'm listening and I'm thinking, some of this stuff he's saying has got to be shoot. Stone Cold's cutting to the tough questions and, Triple H is answering them. But it's very clear that Triple H loves this business. And, he even brought up, if it was me, Raw would be 2 hours. But it's not. And the more and more I listen to him talk is just Triple H really does love the business. And I think the WWE is in very good hands when Vince McMahon either steps down, passes away, whatever the case is, when that happens, they're in good hands. And, for all the shit we give Triple H for the authority role that he's in, or, all the storylines he does about burying people in the golden shovel and all the jokes I make, you can clearly tell he loves what he does. And, I was a little like, oh, he brought up the line from his movie, I thought I'd never work in a day in my life. I'm like, oh, this is just, well, go watch the DVD and, promoting the stuff. But it just made sense. I liked that interview last night. I liked hearing Triple H talk about that stuff. And, when he went off air, he's like, maybe we should have a stream where, we talk about all the ribbon you used to do me. And I'm like, yeah. That's how excited you are when, they genuinely go out there and give you a podcast or a show. And, I'm still, bummed that, it is only on the network for, the people that can't see it. I hope you get to watch it somehow. If you don't have the network. If you don't have that network, though, first of all, you should totally have it. I mean, even $9.99. Like, there's no reason to be a fan anymore. And, to be watching streams of a pay-per-view that used to cost $55 and now you get it for $9. Like, I'm sorry. There's just, it does not make sense to me. I canceled out of principle because of the Royal Rumble, but I made sure I could still watch the NXT pay-per-view. But it's just a thing with WWE fans. There's people that, even, I'm not going to support the product, but then they watch it for free. And, they brought up the whole Kayfabe thing and everybody thinking they know everything. And, they're like, well, you could have looked at the story with Roman Reigns that, Daniel Bryan went out there. He got eliminated and then he wasn't out there and then Roman Reigns won. But then, no, people, we must be burying Daniel because of this, this, and this. And as much as there are politics, and I wholeheartedly believe that the WWE does do this to people, that they do punish, in some way, shape, or form, and, keep their people in line, etc. They do a lot of that stuff. I do believe with, the marks, all that stuff, WWE fans really do take a lot of this shit out of context. And we really do believe into way too much of it and are just constantly getting worked. Because even if half of what he said was true last night, about some of the stuff, it just makes you wonder, out of all the drama that's been started and all the things that, like, even myself that I reported that, oh, they're doing this to this guy or, doing that to this guy or, whatnot. What if it was just as simple as, the misunderstanding or, something not going somebody's way or, Maybe they weren't really getting buried. The writers just had another plan. When you got 30 guys trying to look out, maybe that one writer, who was in the writer's room wasn't there the week that other shit got pitched, and then it kind of got buried. And they brought up very good points about the kayfabe era and, everything kind of going out the window and now everything being reality era where fans can, speak up and suggest. They made a very good point. Back in the day, if what you saw on TV was what you got. You didn't get to go, you had to go find the actual dirt sheets. You didn't get to go and just look on any website. And I liked how they danced around the dirt sheets, like, well, the Grantland, the one they always promote, and Miami Herald, and none of the actual dirt sheets. Like, the news papers are even being dirt sheety. Dirt sheety, you get it? It was supposed to be a dirt shit joke, but I'm very interested to see. I would love to see another one of these interviews, guys. I really would. I think that Triple H opened up a lot of things that I didn't think he would. I thought it was going to be just a huge ploy for the market, for the network. I'll be honest with you. Like, I had no high hopes or no expectations. I knew the Vince McMahon one was good, but I thought there was a little bit of politicking in it. This one, it just seems like he came off straight. Granted, when Stone Cold had the CM Punk thing, and then he was quickly moved upon by Kevin Dunn, is like, okay, maybe Stone Cold's got a little bit in his ear. But then some of the questions he asked, he just proved to me, that one, Triple H is a good guy. He knows what he's doing. And guys, I think the helm of WWE will be in good hands when Triple H takes over. So I want to know your guys' thoughts, your opinions on everything that he said last night, and I'll talk about this more, breaking it down. But I just wanted to give out my quick thoughts because a lot of people have been tweeting me today about it. So let me know in the comment section below, guys, what you thought of the podcast. If you got to watch it, if you've yet to watch it, go check it out. It is on the WWE Network, and I thought they did a good job. And I'm glad Stone Cold, asked some of the questions he did and made it very clear on a lot of the answers, from the kayfabe stuff to Chyna to Raw being 2 hours to NXT and the scripted promos and Triple H letting the guys in NXT run with the ball more, and very clear distinctions on what works, what doesn't work, and how some things just won't work or can't work, or everything that happens and why it happens. It's just a really good interview. So I suggest you go watch it. And once more people listen to it, I'll look at the comments and I'll kind of give my feedback. So if you have any questions for me about anything particular in that podcast, if you want me to touch on, make sure to let me know in the comment section below, and I definitely will do that. And until next time, thank you very much for watching, guys. I appreciate it, and we will see you all later.